Hey, what's going on? It's Neil, also known as Nice Guy Neil. Just like to introduce myself to a couple people who aren't exactly sure about who I am or my history or whatnot. I think the reason people will want to talk to me is because of my experience. Now, I am not going to have the same kind of session that a therapist is going to have that's been sitting in an office seeing people every day. My experience is real life experience. Throughout my life, I've had incredible ups dealing with reality TV and all kinds of the whole Hollywood entertainment field and all that, and music and all that. I really had a really good experience that some people love and some people dream of, but they don't understand that's not what it looks like. It's not what it seems. The grass is always greener on the other side, and it's just not true. And I think the reason it would be good for people to talk to me is because I can show how someone can appear to live this perfect life and what they're actually dealing with and the struggle that I had to go through while I was dealing with that. It really seems like the more people give you, the more they have that they can take away from you. And then the more that you receive and earn over time, it's just the more stuff that you can lose. And I've been at my bottom, you know. Um, from the beginning, when you climb up and you reach a certain level, and then when that's just taken from you, and you have to deal with the consequences of what you're going to do to get out of the situation, and it's very difficult. And for someone who has not been in that situation, when I was at my worst and talking to other people, they just couldn't understand where I was coming from. They would have good advice. You got to try this and you got to be upbeat, and it really would nail it. But they really didn't understand what it was like to be in that kind of a situation. I've personally been homeless twice, and it's a different life. I was raised on love. I wasn't raised on struggle, but then I was thrown into struggle, and I had to deal with that. And my ability to explain to someone else my situations, I think they would really be able to feel like I understand where they're coming from. Because the worst thing is when you express something to someone else and they just don't get it. I really feel compelled to help people because growing up in my life, I had someone there who was able to help me. And for the most part, it was my mother. And then when it wasn't my mother, it was other people who were able to help. And if it wasn't for these other people, I would have made completely different decisions. And I definitely wouldn't be sitting here right now. I was already in a really bad place. And I was already getting advice from some bad people. And I was not making the right choices. And eventually coming across the right people who helped give me some perspective. It's one thing when someone tells you something and they try to teach you something that they heard and that they don't know anything about. And it's another thing from the people that I talked to who were in the situation, when they told me how they got out of it and how I saw how they got out of it and how I saw how they were living, and I wanted that for me. And now, because of them, I got out of it, and I really feel like I can help other people do that as well. What I think I love about this whole situation the most is because as I dealt with my struggles, I lived at the top and I lived at the bottom. I was unhappy, successful. I've been really happy, unsuccessful. As I'm going through this journey, I'm learning these things. It was the people that I met while I was at my worst that made such a big influence on me. And I reached out and I looked for help other places. And it's one thing talking to therapists who get it. And the problem is there really was no representation for me. For the situation I was going through, there was really no way that anybody I was talking to was going to understand and be able to help me. And then I learned that, unfortunately. But fortunately, because of the people that were in the same, or I'm going to say similar situations that I was into, those are the ones that helped me out. They're older than me. I watched what they went through. I watched them get out, and they helped and gave me good advice. And I would consider them mentors. And so I would like to consider myself, because of them, as some kind of a guide, but more so even a friend. Because when I was at my worst, it wasn't even about, I wanted to get better, but I really wanted to be understood. I really needed a foundation, because it felt so lonely to be misunderstood in this place where other people couldn't relate to my decisions. So that's why I think it would be more important. I wouldn't even consider myself, I would consider myself less of a therapist and more of a friend. I want to talk to you. I want to listen to what you're going through. And I want to give you some advice from my experience, from what I've went through, because it was bad. I've had my times, and I've pulled out of it. And I would like to give and talk to people and try to share and help people so they can get out of it too. I would also like to point out that when I speak to you, it's not going to be like other sessions. Trust me, I've had my sessions. They all go different. Well, actually, they all can kind of blend into the same. Mine's not going to be like that. Mine comes from Kemetic spirituality, and that is the spirituality of everything is one. We're all one. And you can call it whatever you want to call it. You can call it one life force. You can call it God. You can call it the flying spaghetti monster. Or you can call it energy. You can call it the ether, dark matter. You can call it whatever you want to call it. But we're all that. And everything is perfect. Always. Every single day you wake up, 50% of the things are going to go right. 50% of the things are going to go wrong. And there's nothing you can do about that. And we're designed to focus on the wrong. So when 50% of our day goes bad, that's all we focus on. And then when 50% of our day goes good, we're not paying attention to all these good things that happen. We're so focused on these couple bad things that happen. And it's easy to get overwhelmed. And when you're not paying attention to the good that's happening, that's when you just lose all your balance. That's when you start feeling like everything's happening to me. Everybody has it better than me. Why do they have that and I don't have that? Why are they achieving this? And the reality is everything's even. When you look at someone else and you think they're all successful, or they have this, or they have that, or they have their life is perfect, or if you just had $15,000 more dollars, everything would work out. If you could win the lottery, but what happens? People win the lottery and then they're broke in a year or a couple years. All of that comes down to having a solid foundation for what you want in this life. And my foundation just happens to be spirituality, not religious. Religion is fine, but I'm very much so on 50-50, everything being balanced. Now that I realize everything happens, nothing happens to me, everything's just happening at once, I can see it. I can see it better. And then when bad things happen, it's easier to sit back, not become overwhelmed, and then start seeing the other side of it. There has never been a situation in your life where it couldn't have got worse. It's been bad. I understand that. But there's never been a situation in your life where half of it didn't somehow work in your favor. And I know it probably doesn't seem like it did at the time. I know it doesn't. I'm going to receive so much flack. But let's talk about that. I want to help get through that. I want to help explain that to people so you can understand what's really going on. Because from the outside, when all you see is the negative, you're not going to grow. Another person or a therapist is going to tell you you have to get over it. They'll tell you that your life will get better. Or these bad things will stop happening. It's just not true. Bad things every single day are going to continue happening to you. It's just true. It's just true. Now, what you do about that, how you receive all this negative energy, how you perceive these negative things that are happening is what's going to make the difference. What I find really interesting is something that I learned when I was going through my this spiraling ups and downs, roller coaster. It was really interesting that no matter how good I was doing, I would still feel terrible. Just as terrible as when I was doing terrible. Sometimes you be doing terrible and you feel good. It was just always it was up and down, up and down. It was relentless. It seemed like it would never end. It seemed like it wasn't really going anywhere. It seemed pointless. It was really depressing, And at the time, I was buying cars. I had a party bus, at a big studio downtown Chicago. I've done so much, and I was just so unhappy. And then eventually, I had my awakening, and that changed everything because once I learned a foundation, once I learned what I really wanted, once I learned how everything isn't happening to me, everything is just happening, it changed my whole perspective on what was going on in my life. Because before, I was in this endless cycle. I would work really, really, really hard. I would get a little bit better. I would take one step forward, and then I would fall 2 steps back. Every single time. Then I would get back up. I would achieve something, and then I would expect to be happy. I would make my dreams come true. I would reach my goals, and I would expect to be happy, and I wouldn't be. Wouldn't be happy. I was always so unfulfilled. No matter what, it was always so unsatisfying. And then I found this Kemetic spirituality. And that is the basis for where I was able to move forward and get out of this endless circle. Because now the same thing is happening. My life is still having these highs and these lows, but I see it as everything happening. I'm able to step back and I look at the whole picture now. Before, you kind of just see the corner, you see the part that's closest to you, and you're like, oh man, this is all messed up, man. It's just, you just don't understand what's going on. I'll give you an example. How many times has something negative happened in your life only for years later you realize, wow, if that thing didn't happen, then this other thing wanted to happen. And then you realize that actually wasn't a negative thing in the first place. And how much stress do you have dealing with these negative things and putting all this time and energy into being angry and dealing with this negativity? It's all for none. You don't need to do it. It's all a trick of the amygdala. It's not even you. You don't even feel that way. It's just your ego. How many times have you been in an argument or mad, and then the next day you're just like, nah, I was dumb. I shouldn't even have been mad. Because you weren't mad. It was just your ego. And once you understand that a lot of people aren't going to hear this, but your problems are because of you. I know it's so hard. It's so hard. People don't want to face that. Your problems are because of you. And I'm not going to say that as some kind of someone saying you should do this or you're not working hard enough or you need to. It's not that. It's not that you're not working hard enough because you're working exactly as hard as you should be. No matter what situation you're in, You are where you should be. And from here, you grow and see what's around you and how you want to view it. You get to decide if you want to see this in the negative light or the positive light, because the truth is, it's neither. There's no good, there's no bad, everything's right in the middle, and it's up to you to understand that.